Okay, good evening, teacher and classmates. We are the group number 1, and our topic is histories, and these groups are conformed by Alcibar Arteaga, Cintia Marina, Cedeño Montalbán, Steve Jesus, Celorio Falcones, Lidet Monserrat, Chávez Zambrano, Génesis Nicole, Moreira Solórzano, Wendy Natalie, and me, Argandoña Chica, Ramón Alexander. Okay, we start with this quote is never stop learning because life never stops teaching. Okay, what we see about the topic is our gesture, this gesture. The introduction for this, in this presentation, we present several hypotheses about the forms and functions of gestures in sign language. In other words, if sign language and spoken language are functionally equivalent, then gestures will play a similar role too in the two language, but may take on a different form and interact with the method to express language in a different way. Okay, next.
Okay, mode action theory. The language is an organic system of signs that enables communicative exchange within society. The action of the mouth is a motor issue of the manual component of the sign. Also, for communication to occur, the speaker must handle a common code in which the sign refers to the same reality, but the senders and the receiver. Okay, the action of the mouth is very important in the education. When teachers went to teach their students, they show a series of gestures, vocalization that the student observe and give meaning to what they want to communicate. For example, they are images that serve a scene or code where it indicates what is means. Taking as an example, we have the figures in the barrels. To a scene, the one that correspond to men and women. Okay, we only see the figures that show the doors, and therefore we give meaning or ascertain conditional with one should we go to. In this case, the same happen with the action of the mouth because the mouth represent amazing tactile gesture or movement of the lips that the person perform will give us meaning of what they want to communicate. And then finally, the mouth represent amazing that through gesture or movement of the lip that the person make.
Okay, hello everyone. What are mouth gestures for? Mouth gestures play various roles which range from the lexical to the morphemic, adjectival, or adverbial function. For example, of the lexical role is given by the minimal prayer impossible dig in Italian sign language, where the two signs are manual. Hominus are distinguishable only by the mouth gestures, presence of hair emission and post cheek for the sign impossible, as can be seen in the image. The mouth gesture also seems to provide additional onomatopoeic information by reproducing the rhythmic movement that are characteristic of marching. Okay, for example, people who marching in a parade. The information of the verb march is conveyed also by a mouth gesture, approximately pa pa pa, which is generally classified as a nominal adverb, as can be seen in the image. The next. A yellow ET called 2001 and Gauss and Hessman 2001, who have pointed out the mouth gesture can be iconic or motivating. Not much has been said of the fact that some mouth gestures seem to serve iconal and also metaphorical function in occurrence with saying. However, this has already been discussed by this author. For example, shouting gun or barking dog. These require mouth gesture which convey an iconic division in terms of font symbol. The next. Other mouth gesture function, metaphorically, the hair emission with co-occurs with the sign relief, as can be seen in the image, and mirror the movement of the manual sign, seeks to imply the reduction of a state of anxiety. Thank you.
Okay, to continue to the samples about gesture, we have more figures that are here. To sum up, some signs provide a specific mouth gesture which appear to be part of the manual signs. In this case, mouth gesture can be an aspect of the meaning. Other signs don't require a specific mouth gesture and can be associated either with the mouth gesture or with the motive following the score's demand. Thank you. In the figure 6, don't realize, this mouth gesture can be replaced by mouthing either according to who the address is, the subject and the aim of the conversations, or more generally, the nature of the communicative event, or following the functions of the sign. In fact, mouth gestures seem to be preferred when the sign function as a verb. Other samples are the sign ice cream and eating ice cream, where the mouth gesture protortion of tongue is used in conjunction with the predicative functions. When the sign functions as a noun, the corresponding motive is used. Next. Well, mouth gestures seem to be analyzable as action gestures that become meaningful when they co-occur and interact with manual signs. They are not decomposable into features, but can be seen as a whole with a rather general meaning linking to perceptual experience, which is specified by the interaction with the manual signs. In brief, mouth gestures seem to be related to manual signing as gestures are to speech, along with the stable combination of lexical signs and mouth gestures, such as impossible to, There are also many mouth gestures whose formal nature appear to be linked to Discord demands. Mouthings. Mouthings usually tend to reproduce the more relevant phonetic part of a certain spoken language, or generally a noun or an adjective, and less frequently a verb or an adverb. According to Fontana and February 2000, the information combined by mouthing can be redundant or functional. Redundant mouthing occur with a semantically correspond manual signs, apparently without any specific function. Functional mouthing usually that information and disambiguate the semantic content of manual signs. Mouthing can function on the paradigmatic axis as specifier for classifier construction. Manual homonyms, ologyns, regionalisms, exploiting the resource of a more standardized language. For example, the following signs in the figure 10 is differentiated only by the co-occurring mouthing, which can be either core or just.
A continue of mouth action. The next. Okay, Kedon's continuum, which has served the purpose of analyzing different dimensions of co-verbal gesture. McNeil, 2000. Okay, according to McNeil, it is work here with respect to the action of the mouth in order to illustrate its relationship with sign language. It is formal nature, how they can go from a global synthetic, from mouth gesture and joint to a discrete analytic articulate joint coexisting with contract signs, and finally, how they can be compared to co-verbal gesture. The next. Mouth action. Mouth action have to be used in conjunction with sign language, much as a co-verbal gesture must be with speech. They can become meaningful only through their interaction with the manual signs. Articulating mouthings likewise have to co-occur with contrast signing and which conveys most of the grammatical information. Mouth action in sign language don't display a linguistic property. In particular, both mouth gesture and articulations are not independent units because they have a general meaning that is specific at the corresponding manual level. The link with the spoken language that we often recognize in the mouth is perceptible perfectly only if we take into account the manual signs. The relationship of mouth action to convention appears to be problematic. On the other hand, sentences are divided from a conventional system of spoken language, but as we have said, their link is only perceived through the manual signs with which they are associated in discourse. Mouth gestures can easily be seen as global and synthetic. Okay, the canon be cement and are perceived as a global meaningful while in includes synchrony with syncing. Mouth gesture don't reflect physical property of referent, such as smooth, rounded, linear, etc. And finally, pronunciations consist of the most relevant phonetic part of a word that acquires meaning only in combination with the manual level. And therefore, mouthing as a global and syntactic as mouth gesture. Only articulate mouthing can be considered segment or particle segment unit.
Not in sing language. This happen, the not in sing language, this happen also in the spoken language. Some author as Fonagy in 1983 and Waititela 1950, 1995 has shown that various paralinguistic aspects such as intonation, purpose, proposing, prosody, etc., can contribute to the meaning of an utterance. These authors say that all aspects as intonation, prosody, um, the main of we say and we say the word, we move the mouth and the lips, that all these aspects contribute to the meaning of the of an utterance, because if we don't speak well, we don't move or live as the correct form, the other people can understand. There are also, remember, the two things impossible. The thing of impossible have different meanings. The first meaning of impossible refers to the subjective incapacity. For example, I can drive motorcycles. This refers to an impositive capacity that we don't have. But if we practice, we can do this capacity possible. And the other meaning of impossible, the meaning two, is used to indicate that something is not objectively possible. There is something can never be possible. For example, dog can speak. Dog never can speak. For example, the horse can fly. That's never, because the horse never can fly. And that refers the two meaning of impossible. The impossible that can be true with practice and the other aspect, and the impossible that is imagine and can never happen. The next conclusion. The relationship between the mouth action and the thinking language, and between the co-verbal gesturing and the speech seem to display similar characteristics. In fact, these two kinds of history show that the same synchronization with the linguistic unit and express the same concept, but in different ways. Co-verbal history cover many kinds of different information, such as to describe an object or an action, to show a spatial relationship, and more generally to add aspects of proportional meaning not present in words, or may also provide a meta-discursive commentary. Mouth action contribute to the signed utterance at various levels. The covering information on the level which can be neither at the lexical level or the level of the utterance. Redundantly, the mouth seems to ensure correlation and to support the understanding of the signaling message by highlighting the key information with a so much greater economy and much more rapidly than the sign alone can manage. Thank you so much. This is all about our presentation. Thank you.
Okay, teacher, thank you so much. This is all our presentation.